Hey everybody, this is Brett Ingram and this is the optYOUmize podcast, the show that helps entrepreneurs build their dream business and dream life. Today we're talking with Mark Preston, customer growth coach and speaker who's helped businesses add over 1 million new customers. He's the author of 4 business marketing books, sought after trainer, and host of the Talk About Digital podcast. I'm super excited because every business owner is always looking to be able to find and attract new customers. So with that, welcome, Mark, and thanks a lot for joining us.
Well, I'm going to say thanks, Brett, for having me on today.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you. I think what you do is so important. And I think, the fact that you focus a lot on small and medium-sized businesses too, if you're a giant business, you got a big budget, so you can play with different things. The smaller guys don't usually have that kind of luxury. So I'm excited to dig into it. Let's start off a little bit with your background. So I have a lot of stuff I want to ask you and talk to you about, but can you give us a sense of how you started your career and what led you to where you are now?
Well, honestly, historically, I'm a qualified mechanic and agricultural engineer. But in 2001, due to family health issues, I had to go into a career that I could do from anywhere myself. And just like most people in the digital marketing industry, I stumbled upon it. It just so happened my brother-in-law worked for a web hosting company and he said, "Do you want some web hosting?" I said, "What's that?" Next thing, I started building websites, just learning as you go. And then I thought, well, what's the point? No one's looking at them. How do I get people to actually read what I'm putting on these websites? And literally, it was just a matter of self-learning. And during the first 5 years, I'd built over 120 websites and was basically had a business model where each website was a different industry, and I'd find a small business within those industries who wanted and needed more work, and I sold the leads to those businesses. And literally that's how it all started, from just testing what works. And the beauty about it, that there were no manipulation, because the leads had to be quality or else I couldn't sell them. And since then I've done lots of things. I've run my own agency, I've built a franchise network, and my passion now is on the coaching and training. And I'm also a professional speaker, but it makes a real difference to people's lives. Like you said before, corporate world have massive budgets, and it's just numbers to them. But when you help a small business, you're helping to change the people's lives, not just the business owner, but every person within that business.
Yeah, that's really powerful. First off, I love the way that you sort of found what you do, because I often think we overcomplicate things. We get so stuck sometimes in strategy, or trying to learn different like paradigms and frameworks. The reality of it is you had a problem, you had to solve it, you figured out how to solve it. And so it worked. And then you were like, well, wait a minute, this applies to me. I can probably apply it to other people too and help them get results. And then, like you said, also, I totally, totally resonate with the idea that, when you're helping a small business owner, it's true that you're obviously helping them, but you're also helping everybody that's connected to them, whether it's employees or people that work in their firm, whether it's their family, and all those kinds of things. And when you create those opportunities for other people, it allows them to then grow and create opportunities for more people. And so it's a win-win. And I really love that focus, because I've talked to a lot of people that are very good at taking a big budget and doing things with advertising or whatever else. And I've always said that's the easy part. Not that it's easy, and I'm not minimizing or minimalizing how important the work they do is as well. But the fact of the matter is, it's far easier to go from 1 million in revenue to 10 million than it is to go from 0 to 1. And so if you're helping people in that initial phase, you're helping them get off that launch pad. And I think it's so important because then they have a going concern that they can continue to do as their livelihood. So I think it's awesome that you found that, and better, we're all better off for that. So you helped a lot of small business and mid-sized businesses too grow their customer base. When you look at them, when you talk to them, what's the biggest mistakes that you see businesses make right now in that?
Honestly, it's not understanding what their growth potential is. A lot of these businesses, they read lots of things saying, oh, you need to do this, need to do that. But the problem with the information out there, it lacks context. Yes, it worked in this certain area, but if everybody on the planet already knows who you are, it's going to be easy. And I think a lot of businesses, they fail to understand what the impact's going to be from their growth projections. And that's why I say I help businesses achieve their unique growth potential, customer growth potential. Because every business is unique and every business has challenges. And I know I've scaled my own businesses. I know that, you can't do the same things at that level as you can when you grow larger. And that's I think that once they understand that, then it's the techniques is the easy bit.
So yeah, I mean, obviously the strategies you're going to use to get from one place to another, and then to grow from there are gonna certainly vary, and that obviously makes total sense. But the other thing I think that's really key that you said is, I think we live a lot in a copycat world, which makes sense in some regard, right? You want to look at what's successful, and you want to model that to the degree that it makes sense for you to model it. At the same time, to just try to copy and paste what somebody else is doing when you're in a different market, you're in a different, with a unique situation, different, audience and everything else, it's not always going to be the same. And the other key point there that you made is the fact that your relationship with your audience is so important. I see this in podcasting, right? If you don't have a reputation in your audience, if people don't know you, you might have the best content in the world, but you're going to have to work really hard to get that message out and to grow your audience. If you're a celebrity, you just plug in the microphone, start talking, and you've got a gazillion, person audience. So it isn't a fair fight. You aren't going to be able to compete with those kinds of people right out of the gate because they have an advantage that you don't. They have that built-in audience that's already there. And so I think, those are super, like salient lessons there. So you've helped generate over 1 million new customers for business. That's obviously not luck or an accident. What's your secret? I mean, how are you able to make that happen?
My secret is I've lost an awful lot of money during the years trying things that don't work. That is the honest truth. And literally, yes, I've made some good money, but I've tried because this is the thing. You don't know if it doesn't work until you've tried it. And rather than me trying to copy someone else, I'll get an idea in my head and see if it works. And I've lost a lot of money. And that's why is from those foundations and me losing my own personal money, because everything I've done over the years has been 100% self-funded, that I can say to the business, oh, well, no, actually, I tried that and I lost like this huge amount of money. My business failed because of that type of, the real world solutions. And I think that, yes, I've helped businesses achieve great growth, and I've helped businesses collectively generate over 1 million new customers, but it's on the back of me understanding what works and, more importantly, what doesn't.
The old break fix, test fail, whatever else. So what do you think the most important mentality is then? Because I'm with you 100%. I always believe I'm a possibility guy. So when I see that there's something that could work, I want to explore it. That said, like you, I've tried a lot of stuff that doesn't work. And what is your sort of mentality when you go into trying something like that? Because I think it's really helpful for business owners to understand, because you've done stuff that didn't work, you've done stuff that worked, and you found that. How do you approach each new thing that you're testing out in terms of mentality so people can understand the right way to do that?
Right. Well, over the years, I've learned that not to just run with what somebody says out there. Step back and think about it. Well, does it make logical sense for my individual business? Just because somebody is making an absolute fortune on TikTok, well, if your customers are not actively watching TikTok, and what's the point? And this is the thing. And I think the word's logical sense. And that's what I try and do. And unfortunately, people within the digital marketing industry, a lot of them who's making decisions, have never run their own business. They don't understand the reality and the impact of the challenges within business. And I think for me, because I've run my own businesses and scaled them, I understand those challenges. And when you strip it right back, and I just say, well, why? Why do you believe that is the right focus? That is the right thing. I'm open. My ears are open. Please explain to me why. And if they say, well, then you've got your answer. Does it make logical sense? Well, it's not hard. I believe that the industry has made to be sound too complicated because certain agencies need to charge big amounts of money for realistically what people could do themselves.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that sort of echoes back to one of the early points that we were talking about, is the fact that I think it's sort of a blessing and a curse that there's all this information and data and ideas and tactics and strategies out there, because on the one hand, it can really get those creative juices flowing in terms of how I could apply these to my own business. On the other hand, sometimes people replace thinking or common sense with something that they read in a book, saw on a blog, heard some expert talk about, and so they just believe that that's sort of the one size fits all. I mean, everybody's journey, one of the things that I've created some courses over the years for various things. And one of the things that I was always a big believer in and a big advocate for, because it's what I realized through my own experience, is that a plan that you have, there's value in that. At the same time, you've got to take each step, monitor your results, and then adjust your approach. If it works exactly the way it's supposed to out of the box, great. For most cases, and at least in my experience, it almost never does. So you've got to try something, and then you got to say, okay, what result did I get? And that's not exactly what I wanted. How do I shift this or adjust it to what I need to get what I need out of it? And I think a lot of times we get so stuck in the idea that, well, no, so and so got this result and they told me do step 1, 2, 3, 4. So those are the exact steps I need to follow and I can't deviate. And we just forget about our own common sense and our own, screen of logic. So I'm totally with you there. I'm glad to hear somebody else feel that way and say that. So among your accomplishments, you transformed a boutique SEO agency into a multi-office powerhouse. What lessons did you learn along the way in terms of growing in that particular venue and industry?
I never want to run an agency ever again. No, to be fair, I'd never run an agency before. I didn't have, the mentors that are around now. Back then, there wasn't the information out there, the resource and everything. I just literally ploughed all my money I'd made into the lead generation business, into an agency, it grew very well. It grew very well. And, I learned through the challenges, I learned that you need the right people, and it's all about servicing the customer and making sure they get the results they need for their individual business. That side of it has always been easy for me. Getting results has been the easy bit. It's all the business side of it that's been the challenging part. And unfortunately, during the 2008 recession, I literally made a promise to all my staff that until every single penny has gone, you won't be out of a job. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. I lost everything. And the doors closed. Like I said earlier on, I'm not sitting here saying I'm perfect. I'm a multi-billionaire and everything. I'm just real. And it's based on my own experiences. If I had to go back in time, the lessons I learned then, would I have done things differently? Well, I can't say that because you don't know. Did I try too long? Or what happened? It was just the economy. Everything's closed down. And it was just that. But because I made a promise to my staff, I kept it.
Yeah, and look, that's super honorable to begin with. I mean, a lot of people would say, I'm going to take care of myself first. So if things are going south, sorry guys, good luck. So, that's obviously, tons of respect for that. There are things that happen, and one of the sayings that I've mentioned in the past, I actually did an episode about this, is the role of luck in business, because people that achieve a certain level oftentimes like to believe that it's 100% on them. And I give any entrepreneur a lot of credit. It takes courage, it takes guts, it takes resilience. I know I've been doing it for 17 years myself, and there's ups and downs. It takes a lot of intestinal fortitude, but the reality of it is there's also some degree of timing, luck, and other things. I mean, when the COVID pandemic hit, I read an article about a local business here, and there was a guy who had worked as a career professional doing something else, and he decided he was going to do a sports banquet business. And so he had all these connections with high schools and colleges in the area, and he had a great reputation. Everybody loved him. He launched his business. It started to take off. 6 months later, COVID hit. You could no longer meet in person. There's literally nothing this guy did wrong. He built all the relationships before he even started the business. He had the business model down. Everything was working and going along. COVID hit, he went out of business. There's nothing that it wasn't his lack of business acumen. It was the fact that there was some circumstance outside of his control. And so obviously we can't dwell on that. We've got to focus on what we can control. But at the same time, you were in a situation too where the recession hit. People just weren't spending money on that kind of thing. So what did you do after that? What was your very next step? Did you go right back into business? Were you doing something else? How did you pick yourself up from that situation? Well,
the thing is, everything I do, my why is my family. And I sat there, and let's just say I weren't in the best mental health state after that happened, because I felt as though I'd let my family down. But then I thought, well, I need to make it happen. I need to do something. And I thought, of all these skills, well, why not? I just literally did some bits of freelance work and everything. Then I thought, well, how can I scale this without taking the staff on and having salespeople? And literally, I don't know why, but I thought, well, there's lots of agencies out there who run their own brand. And I thought, well, if I could provide a support network for them and train them and give them the skills and the stuff and on how to push their business forward. And I created like a white label digital marketing franchise. And then due to my contacts, I knew someone that was a franchise consultant, and we got together and I said, well, how do I make this work legally? And it was a case of I had 50 franchisees all around the country, and I was like the training hub, the support network, and like their mentor to help them push forward. And literally, that's how I did it. There was no. I'd love to say it were all planned, but it wasn't. It was just out of the fear of having to support my family and doing whatever it takes to make it happen. And unfortunately for me, I was here, had all these skills, and they had things missing within their agency that we complemented each other.
Yeah, I mean that's powerful, but I think sometimes, right, it is that fear, it is that lack of another option that gets you to where you are. Sometimes we all have this need for security and the ability to know we have something to fall back on. There's something very comforting in that. At the same time, when we don't have that, it forces us to take action, to think in ways, and to do things we might not otherwise be able to do. I remember listening to, I don't know if it was an interview, but Damon John, one of the guys from Shark Tank, I remember him saying, when he was trying to build his clothing brand, his fashion brand, he didn't have a budget. And so one of the things that he learned really fast is how to make those dollars stretch. Like he had to bootstrap everything. And so while we would all fantasize about having this big budget to be able to do things, oftentimes big budgets also end up with a lot of waste because we don't need to be efficient with our resources. When we don't have anything, and same thing when we don't have any fallback plan, there is no other option other than success. We've got to find a way to make it work, at least enough to make that go. And look, just from the outside looking in at your situation, there was something that led up to that because your past experience was the thing that let you sort of unlock that ability and understanding that, hey, if I now could be the support network for other people instead of just doing this myself, you also are able to diversify you're able to share your skills, but you're not also doing your own business where it's reliant on that one customer base. So I think it's amazing how your journey sort of got you there. So with the website lead generation thing that you were doing as well, what strategies were you using for that in terms of generating leads and then being able to sell them? You had these sites set up and you were generating leads, and then you just said, I don't know what to do with the leads, so I'll sell them, or how did that come about?
Well, the honest truth was, it was, I can't remember what day it was, but one of the websites I set up was a flat pack builder. So like IKEA, you go and, everything's flat pack, a wardrobe and everything. And I set this website up to, like a flat pack builder service, not thinking that anyone's actually going to contact me. And literally, one day, someone sent me a message saying, can you come round on Saturday to build this wardrobe for me? How much would it cost? And I'm thinking, light bulb moment. And that time, I must have had about 20 websites doing different things. And I thought, well, there's no chance I am going to build a wardrobe this weekend. But other people do that as a job. And they might be struggling to get more work. So then, every website I created, I just looked round for the people in certain areas, because these websites I created was national, so I had different people in the different locations who bought the leads off me, because for them is, well, I don't mind giving something that I wouldn't have had initially. So, I wasn't overcharging for the leads, but it was based on quality. And that way I built quite a good network. And literally, it was just me on a table with a laptop in my bedroom. It was just, and it was just that. And I just found this knack of organically. So I'm from an organic background, like you said before, I thought, well, I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars and pounds to pump into this, so how can I make it happen? And I just worked out over the years, and historically I've been known as one of the SEO organic person, because I think a bit different.
Yeah, look, that's fascinating. But again, you recognize the opportunity, and I think that's really where the difference is. Other people would have been in that same situation. The lead would have come in and they would have said, "Oh, I don't really build furniture. Sorry." You said, "Hey, this is an opportunity. There's people that do this. If I can match these people together, I've got something here." And then you thought about the scalability of it. Okay, well, that's from one website. If I have 20 sites, 50 sites, 100 sites, they're all in different niches. I can be able to provide those leads and bring those buyers and sellers together in all those cases, and I can earn something from it as well. So that's super smart, great strategy, great thinking there. So in your experience, what is the most overlooked strategy that you think business owners have in terms of being able to grow, or if they have a business that they think has real potential, but they aren't sure how to realize that?
Do you know what? Again, they try and overcomplicate things. Let's strip it right back, keep it simple, and just build honest relationships. Be authentic. People can see through fake, especially in this AI manipulation world. Just be yourself. I tried to look as though I was somebody else, and it just didn't work. I'm just a regular guy who's passionate about helping small businesses, and that's what you get. And when people talk to me, there's no like, well, you're better than me, he's better. I don't really care. I have friends who's worth hundreds of millions, and I have friends who haven't got a penny. To me, it doesn't matter who you are. It's about being authentic as a person. And I think for businesses, and especially small businesses, it's about connection. But not just, going on LinkedIn, connecting, will you see, blah, blah, blah. It's about understanding, just talk to people, understand that if there is a match, and that's with my history, that's what I've been able to look at. Yes, there's a match here. If there isn't, don't try and make it happen. Just say thank you and, go on to the next. It's about understanding that match and being authentic to yourself, understanding, well, where do my ideal customers hang out? What type of business I am, understanding why they do business with you, all the basic, business stuff that usually gets overcomplicated in the digital marketing world by fluff. And I think I'm here to strip out all the fluff and just concentrate on what's working. And you're probably going to spend an awful lot less, but gain an awful lot more.
First of all, I love the message of authenticity. I'm a big believer in that. I think, especially since the advent of AI, I actually think we're entering into the authenticity age, because the fact is, people are sort of sick of over curation. They're sick of fake, phony. There was a level where social media was, it started, and then it was just cat videos. And then people got to a point where they refined it and refined it and refined it. So they got to things where everything's so perfect, it's not real anymore. And like with anything else, now there's sort of a swing coming back the other way where the authenticity, the people that are just real and genuine, that tends to resonate better with an audience because people just get tired of that. And I think the other thing that you mentioned that I think is so key, and it's one of the big mistakes I made, is the connections piece. I overlooked the importance of building really good business relationships. So I was a 17-year digital entrepreneur, but my focus was always on what I needed to do instead of who I needed to connect with. So I had opportunities, but I didn't go to a lot of conferences. I didn't do a lot of stuff. When I did, I shook a few hands, got a few business cards. And like you said, there's no value in that because I can't reach back out to those people. They're not even going to remember who I am. One of the reasons I started the podcast is because I actually love to talk to people. I love to learn. And so when I have an opportunity to have somebody like you come on and talk with you for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever, like we build a relationship over that. I get to know you, you get to know me. And there's so much more value in that. And I just find it so much more enjoyable at the same time. So it's like a win-win all the way around. And I fully believe that the power of relationships in life in general, but certainly in business, is far more important than any one particular tactic or strategy. So I'm totally with you there. You're big on real, no nonsense, actionable, affordable stuff for digital marketing. How do you balance that sort of simplicity with the effectiveness to get results in the strategies that you use?
Well, I don't think about it like that myself as a balance. I just think about, well, we need to keep it simple, but make sure it works. And thing is, there is no balance for me. When I say, I mean, yes, there's podcast, and you're probably laughing at me out there, but again, my mind is a bit weird. I think about things differently. I think, well, why have a balance? A balance is you're either doing it right or wrong. It's a bit of a mixture. Let's just make sure it works. And we do that by focusing on what we need to do to get our business from where it is now to where it needs to be. And I'm going to share one thing that will probably create a light bulb moment here. Now, question everything you want to do in digital marketing and ask yourself, by doing this, does it have the potential to get my business from where it is now to where it needs to be? And it's either yes or no. There's no balance, it's either yes or no. If it's no, well, what's the point? Because over the years, I've done lots and lots of things that's not progressed me forward. Like I said, as a customer growth coach, my goal is to ensure small businesses achieve their customer growth potential, whatever that potential is. But so the focus is, in whatever techniques you come up with, does it have the potential? I don't really care if it's increased the number of likes you have by 1,000. Does them 1,000 likes actually turn into inquiries? That's the thing. And I think we need to get away from the mindset of, well, it's the numbers game. It's not. The only numbers that matter are the pound notes, and not just revenue, it's profit. So again, it's looking at the profitability of things. And I've seen so many small businesses run digital marketing campaigns and think, oh, I've generated all this money, brilliant, brilliant. But I say, okay, let's split it down. How much has it cost you to service that? And all that splitting it down. So realistically, you've gone backwards in your business. And this is what I mean by I don't see a balance. It's either yes or no.
I love the simplicity, and I agree. I mean, I think by looking at it through that lens, it makes your decision making so much easier because you don't need to think about the complications of this, that, or the other thing. You just decide, is this going to move me forward or not, or at least does it have the potential to? You may not know definitively, but at least you know, okay, yeah, the potential's there, it's worth doing. The potential's not there, why do it? So just because we're told or taught or we learned from somebody that this could be something to do, if it doesn't ultimately make sense, then there's no point in it. So you also have a podcast, the Talk About Digital podcast. What inspired you to create that? And what is your goal in terms of trying to help business owners with it?
Is the reason I created Talk About Digital. Well, in fact, going back, it started off as a webinar during lockdown COVID times. You know, it was just a digital marketing webinar, and I remember the very first episode, I didn't know anything about lighting, and I thought, you know, the house light would work, and literally it got through the evening, and literally I was just this black dot in the background, and you know, it started off that. Then obviously as we come out of COVID, I sort of parked it. Then I had this brand which I kept hold of, and I thought, well, you know, the problem is small businesses, there's lots of information out there, and I just wanted to create something real and honest. And because I haven't any idea of wanting to set an agency up, it didn't matter to me that I was turning the listeners into $5,000 a month clients, because that's not what it's about. Yes, I'm a customer growth coach, but I'm not a service-based business like an agency. And for me, I just wanted to take the, let's just say, fluff that's in the industry and talk about it honestly and help small business create big impact with minimal investment. Because when you are in a position where you don't have the resource and budget you think you need, it's amazing what actually can be achieved.
Yeah, that's powerful, and I love your motivation behind that, because for me it's the same thing. You know, I spent 17 years as a digital entrepreneur, sort of in my own silo, and I had connections in business, but they're all through Skype, they're all through online things. We'd get together maybe once a year at a conference or something, and one of the things that occurred to me is, this stuff is hard. It's lonely. It's isolating if you're doing it all yourself. And so what I wanted to do is start a podcast where I could share with other entrepreneurs and business owners, listen, keep going, right? If you have the guts to start a business and be an entrepreneur, you deserve to be successful. So if there's anything I can do to help, I want to do that. I might not be an expert at every topic, but I can bring experts on. I can help, shine a light on that, give you information, but also give you inspiration to know that, listen, we've all been there. We've all had our ups and downs. I haven't talked to a single business owner, entrepreneur, super success or otherwise, that hasn't had a time when they got kicked in the teeth and they were down and out and had to, pull themselves up and get moving again. It happens to all of us. And I think sometimes when we're in that situation and we're alone, we feel like, well, I'm a failure because my venture didn't work or this didn't work out, and I'm the only one. Everyone around me is super successful. Nothing could be further from the truth. Everybody struggles. Everybody goes through those down times. It's the resilience. It's the ability to keep going through that to come out the other side. You had that challenge and you said, look, I got to provide for my family. So I'm going to figure out a way to make this thing work. And to your credit, you did. And I think, that is so important. And just to let other people know that, hey, there's people out here that are behind you 100%. We're pulling for you. We want you to be successful as well. And anything we can do to share and help, we're going to do that. So I love that. So where can people find your products, services, and connect with you?
Well, I'm easy to find. Just search online for Mark A. Preston. You'll find me anywhere. My website's markapreston.com. My books are on there. Just give it a read, and if it relates to you, connects with you, and you're looking for someone to support you, let's have a chat.
Awesome. Thanks for that. All right, I have one last question I have to ask because it's important, and I think I'm always interested to know what everyone's going to say. And that's, what's your number one tip for success as a business owner or an entrepreneur?
Be yourself. For me, be yourself, and if your why is strong enough, it will keep you going.
I love that. And true to form, Mark, it's super simple, super powerful, very effective. So I love that. All right, it's just about time to wrap things up. I want to thank you again, Mark, so much for sharing all your insights and great tips with us. Visit markapreston.com for his books, podcasts, and training, and click on his blog there for 150 small business customer growth stories to help you grow your customer base. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And as always, remember, no matter what you want for your business and your life, don't compromise, optimize.